So imagine my surprise when I realized that the last time I did a quilting habit update was in May, in the end of May, but still May. And I apologize, I couldn't believe it when I went back to look, and yeah, well, I'm here now. And if you're new to my channel or new to this series, my name is Chris O'Neill from Sew the Distance. Thank you for joining me. This is the habit update, and usually I do them monthly. I did this all of last year too. Each month or so I would give an update on my habits that I chose for that year. So in 2024 I had a list of habits, 5 habits that I wanted to work on, and I decided to do the same thing in 2025. This keeps me accountable, and hopefully it keeps you accountable too. Hopefully you make some of your own goals. On my website I do have downloadable sheets that if you want to follow along or track your own goals, they're there. You can also see links to all the previous videos and even the previous year of doing this. All right, so let's talk about this past 2 months. So first of all, I did do Christmas in July, which many of you know, and that kind of derailed me a little bit with the habits. Not only practicing the habits, but also updating the habits. I don't know, is that an excuse? It might be. So let's just start right at the beginning with the no home zone, which is an area that tends to collect things. Now this one didn't go well because of all the chaos between that, and then if you know, my dog Daisy hurt or tore her CCL, which is the equivalent of an ACL in humans, and had to have TPLO surgery. And yes, she had surgery last year too. It's been an adventure. Anyway, this happened in the beginning of July, right? July, end of June, beginning of July, with Christmas in July, with a lot of other things happening, that the no home zone kind of went crazy. Now, I don't even have a picture of it, but I do have a video clip, I believe, I'll try to find it, of me cleaning up my sewing room after Christmas in July. And I really decided in that moment, or during the July month, that I don't work well with chaos in my sewing room. Now, let me be clear, I have a million projects going at once, and that's a different kind of chaos. But organization chaos, when things are just a mess, it affects my mental health too. And we'll talk a little bit more about that with Habit 5, but it really did affect me. So I'm learning that I need to have my creative space cleaned up so I can be creative, which is the outlet I need for mental health. I am going to make it a priority to keep my creative space clean, and part of that is the no home zone, which has been cleaned up and looks great right now. Hopefully it stays that way. And that brings us to goal number 2, which is being intentional with quilting related purchases. And I did great. So did I give myself a score? I don't think I gave myself a score with number 1. Number 1, I'm giving myself a 0 out of 5. I did terrible with the no home zone. All right, now we're gonna go on to goal number 2, which is being intentional with my purchases, and I did great with this. In fact, I'm giving myself a 5 out of 5. I purchased secondhand. I purchased things from thrift shops and made projects. I made this cute pillow out of some pajamas. I made some coasters out of some thrifted items. I also used scraps, which we'll talk about. I did great. There were a few items that I did have to purchase for a charity project that I'm working on. I pledged 3 blankets or quilts. I did 2 quilts and 1 Afghan. A friend of mine's doing a quilt drive, and these are going to hospice center, well, a hospice center. She requested patriotic projects, which I did, and you can see them here. I have one that I'm going to quilt on my home machine. That's this one. And then I'm going to, well, I already did. I dropped off the quilt, that's the panel, at the long armor, and then of course the Afghan is finished. So those are almost ready to go out the door to the her. I did have to buy a couple things for that stuff. So I didn't do perfect, but I still did great, much better than I normally do, especially with all the holiday fabric coming out. I really looked at my own stash and tried to pull from that wherever I could. That brings us to habit number 3, which is paring down my scraps. And I finished up my package quilt. This is my own pattern. It's an oversized package. It's so cute. I used all vintage fabric to make this. I also made a Christmas scrappy quilt called So Merry during Christmas in July. That's using all scraps except for the white. The white was yardage that I had, but it was all from my stash. I made these coasters. I made a whole bunch of projects during Christmas in July. I have them here. I just had a ball using up the fabric that I already had. It's so rewarding. I think for me, having it all on display it just does wonders. I can see it right here. It's on the other side of the camera. It's all on display. I see what I have, and that helps me with purchases, and it helps me with pulling from my fabric stash before going to purchases too. So it kind of all meshes together. For this goal number 3, I am giving myself a 5 out of 5. I did phenomenal in my opinion on this. Just using up the scraps and yardage, but still mostly scraps. That brings us to goal number 4, which is not as good. So for goal number 4, it's getting out of my quilting comfort zone, and I didn't do a great job at this. I did start hand quilting this quilt here, which was a Lessons from an Old Quilt. This is an antique quilt that I have. I started hand quilting the middle of this. I'm not doing great at it, just learning, but it is getting done. But I was supposed to make a shirt. I took a class, I signed up for a class. Actually, I didn't take it. It's an on-demand class. I have the fabric, I have everything. I talked about it in May. I never made the shirt. It's still sitting unmade, so I need to do that. 1 out of 5 for this goal. Didn't do great. Definitely need to do better and work on that a little bit more. All right, and then finally my health journey. And as many of you know, I've been dealing with shingles since January, and I'm happy to say things have gotten so much better. I'm still have a little bit of lack of muscle tone in this side. This is the side I had it on. I still have some pain, but one thing that really helped me was journaling about it and keeping track of how I was getting better, because I knew it was going to be a long run. And by the way, yes, I had the shingles vaccines, both of them. I had them done last summer. I had it done right. I know people, that's the first thing people say, yes, I did get the vaccines. Okay, but anyway, back to this. I still got shingles, and I still got them in January. Yeah, you can go back and watch some of the videos on that. I am doing much, much better. Journaling helped because I got to see how I was doing better, because if you're in chronic pain, which I know many of you are, that end never seems like it's in sight. So really keeping track every day of how I was feeling let me see the small progress that I was making. It helped with my mental health. It helped everything fall into line, which has been great. As far as other stuff, I still haven't really gotten into exercising. I know I need to get back into that. Hopefully I will. I have been okay with my water. I've been great with eating and all of that. And then as far as sewing, taking breaks has been really hard for me in the past, and I'm learning to really listen to my body and take those breaks with sewing when I need them. It's not always perfect, but I am doing it, and it is good. It is good. Anyway, I gave myself at first a 1 out of 5 on this, but you know what? I'm bumping myself up to a 2 out of 5. Now I got to remember to update the blog, but 2 out of 5 on this, because I think that I did make some strides with mentally getting in the right direction. Maybe. Yeah, 2 out of 5 it is. So I will be back again next month. That's my intent, for another update on my goals. I'm going to work on that no home zone. I'm going to work on healthier living, all the good stuff that I need to work on, and I'm going to continue to progress with my bravery and everything else. I hope you're doing well with your goals. I am already starting to think about 2026. Maybe you are too. I have some ideas of what I want to incorporate into my quilting life habits, quilting habit life, whatever it is. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you take some time to sew, and I will see you real soon. Bye.